Have you ever wondered about minimalism? Do you have dreams of starting a minimalist lifestyle? Are you curious what it's like to sell a business, get rid of most of your possessions, and move within a few weeks? Learn how to begin being a minimalist on today's episode. Does your clutter own you? On Clear Your Clutter Inside and Out, we'll teach you how to become aware of your clutter, along with action steps to declutter and create the life you desire. Come on, let's get started. I interviewed on the Arner Adventures podcast with Shannon, and Shannon and I really hit it off. I'm going to encourage you to check out that interview. I'll see if maybe we can get it over here on my podcast. We're cut from the same cloth. We were both in Raleigh at the same time, and I just had a really delightful conversation with her, and I wanted her and her husband Jerry to come on and join us today. So we had a great discussion about minimalism. If you've listened, I wouldn't consider myself a minimalist. I'm listed as apparently as a good minimalist podcast to listen to. I think my goal for you is to start where you are, and anything that you do is awesome. So don't worry if you're not on a minimalist journey, but you might have some aha moments. We have downsized majorly twice. I'm constantly decluttering, but I still don't think that I fit the definition of being a minimalist. I love Shannon's response to this, though, and it made me think of it in a new light. And I'm very excited today. You know, I only bring you the best and awesome people, so I know you're going to enjoy this interview. And if you ever want to learn about being a minimalist, thoughts crossed your mind, you're in for a real treat. And just one more reminder to celebrate the journey, no matter where you are in life. Anything you do to declutter your life is amazing, and you're taking steps to create the life you choose, deserve, and desire. So let me tell you about today's guest. Shannon and Jerry Arner and their rescue fur baby, I love that, Betty White, are living the minimalist life. After owning their own business, working 24/7, they made a lifestyle change and decided to make the most out of life. They sold their house, downsized, and moved to the coast. They love to share how to live life to the fullest rather than simply having life happen to you. They live each day as an adventure and hope to inspire others to do the same. Welcome, Shannon and Jerry.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Hello.
I'm excited to have you. As I have mentioned, I did an interview with you all, but I wanted to have you on. I want you to tell me, what is your definition of minimalism?
You want to start or me?
I will start. Minimalism, to me, as the way we've experienced it, um, I think started. Well, I don't know if it started, but the big push was moving to a smaller place,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of it with us has to do with downsizing and living in a smaller place. I know it could encompass a lot of other things, but that's the kind of the starting point for us. We downsized our living space.
Well, you and I, Julie, have talked about minimalism. A lot of people can think of it as sterile.
Mhm.
I don't. I look at minimalism as having what you need and having what brings you joy. And I think that the minimalist lifestyle is having things that encompasses you being able to experience adventures and the things in
Mhm.
life and not the stuff.
I
That's what I
love
think.
that. I think that's fantastic. Now, what was the impetus for downsizing? Were you just like, oh, got kids out of the house, or like, our house is too big? What made you take that step?
Well, yeah, and it wasn't kids out of the house. We don't have any kids. We ran a business back where we lived up back in the Raleigh area, and we we found out with our lifestyle that we just weren't really having those kind of 9 to 5 things where you sit down at night and you in the living room watch things. It just seemed like we were always sort of either in the kitchen or the bedroom, right?
We weren't using our whole house. We weren't using the whole space.
Yeah, not using the whole house.
Honestly, that wasn't the catalyst. The catalyst was we were burned out.
Mm.
And we had the lifestyle that we thought that success meant that you just filled your space with all this
Mhm.
crap. And oh, we just keep buying stuff to keep up with what we thought at the time success was. And yeah, then we were like, well, gosh, isn't it interesting that we only spend time in this one part of our house? And in the span, I mean, we're given the short Cliff Notes version here, but in the span of um burnout and kind of having this light bulb moment of we have to heal physically, mentally,
Mm.
we really just felt like we needed to purge. And in that purging process, we went the extreme. I mean, I don't know if everyone would go the way that we did, but we really decided, gosh, we really need to declutter our life in more ways than just the physical. But in the span of just a few weeks, sold our business, we sold our house, we sold
Wow.
most of our belongings, and us and our dog Betty White moved here to the coast of North Carolina into a 500 square foot little cottage and live our life. And now it's a 700 square foot,
Yeah.
but and we just decided that was the lifestyle for us. And we, again, it's not for everyone, but we needed to make a lifestyle change, and it was the best decision that we could have ever made for ourselves.
I absolutely love that. What I love is because, I'm always talking about decluttering your life because you talk about burnout and like, you know what? I don't want to be in this crazy cycle. Now we were in Raleigh and then we downsized to
Mhm.
Anger because I'm like, you know what? And then we ended up moving back to my home state to help care for my mom. But I
Yeah.
have no regrets about that. But I've done a couple. We are not at the place where you are, but it's so freeing.
It's so freeing. The weight. I mean, it really is a weight. And I feel like now, even now, we sort of have not even a purposeful schedule for ourselves, but just I feel like every couple months or so, we're like, you know what, let's go through and let's just kind of declutter again the physical
Love
things.
that.
And when we do, we're like, oh, it feels so freeing mentally. Then you just feel like, oh, okay. I
I feel like
feel
I've
so
lost 10 pounds every time I do it.
Yeah, it's about the letting go, that's for sure. And it's more than physical letting go. I think you might start with that, but it's
yeah.
also letting go of I don't know, maybe the memories that were attached with something or the
Mhm.
anxieties that were attached to something or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm blown away that you sold a business, sold a house, and did all that in your possessions in a couple weeks. That's a really accelerated timeline. What was the most challenging thing for you all to let go? Were there moments when you're like, "Oh," or you're like, "You know what? Bam, we just went through everything."
I I think we're different in that. I
Yeah.
I think that I'll just say for me, there weren't as many challenges. For me, it was I was going through just a period of I can be very impulsive for sure. I'm also the personality type that I need to get away from things to make them better. Like, okay, let's walk away from it. Let's get and I usually don't regret that. Like, I need to get away from it to
Mhm.
heal, get away from the toxicity, get it out. So for me, cutting those things out of my life to heal and to get better was good. Now, look, I remember I remember when the we had made this closet into an office and had them come in and build these shelves. And I remember a real estate agent saying, "You'll never sell this at a really good price if you don't fix this back." And I remember calling those exact same people in to change it back.
I think it had
Oh,
only been done a year earlier too.
And that
oh,
hurt my stomach.
Yeah.
oh,
So
yeah.
that for me was a big deal. Like, oh my God, I can't believe we're doing this. But it was the right decision.
Yeah.
But for you, it's probably different, that answer.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like I don't maybe and we both have sentimental things and we've
Mhm.
realized that uh more valuable sort of sentimental things now, or we've pared them down. But I used to just keep everything like that has a sentimental value or something,
Mhm.
and maybe if it even didn't, I thought it did or something. But I would just anything I had stored in my personal closet or our garage or something with a timeline of everything from my childhood through my adolescence through my 20s, all the way up. Stuff that I just I don't even quite know where I inherited that from, but stuff that I did was easily 80%
Mhm.
could go easily, if not more, you know.
Yeah. It took some saying, we were reading all these books and watching all these documentaries and, listening to people like you and saying, the things are not who gave them to us, or
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
people are not attached to that. And if our parents or grandparents are no longer here, are they going to want us to feel the guilt that we feel traipsing these things back and forth to all
Not
of
at
these
all.
places?
Yeah.
No. And so it did take a lot of for Jerry at least thinking about that constantly
Yeah.
and saying, okay, yeah, we don't need it. And now we both actually have like a Rubbermaid bin of the things that, okay, these mean something to us. And
Yeah.
we still every once in a while pull that out and say, do we need this? Do we need to keep it?
And there's a lot more sentimental things that are out in the forefront now that you used to keep in the corner of the attic. And it's
Mhm.
like, if they
Yeah.
had sentimental value, you only saw it once every 5 years till you made it to that corner of the attic, you know? So it's like, it's not really serving a day-to-day purpose. Now there's more things that might have been stuffed away that are kind of out in the forefront.
You enjoy them more.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer of purging every year, and I love that you say that because I have one container of what I call memories, which
Mhm.
are like, I got dissed my high school yearbooks a couple years ago, and I was like, "Who wants that?" I'm like, "When do I ever look at these?" Right? Never. And so it's something I go through every couple years, and I will get rid of it all eventually. But I think for me, it's important. I love what you all did. I don't think most people do, but to me, it's a process. And if you can downsize something, if you can clear that clutter in any way, shape, or form and move in that direction, because I found once you do it, it's easier. And like I tell everyone I work with, purge once a year. And once you have that massive purge, it's easy, but keep up with it because people tend to buy it, but not purge.
Right. And I'll tell you, it easily creeps in. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, even for us, I'll say, what stuff even get here?
Mhm.
And so yeah, you have to have processes in place for it not to. I mean, you have to, it's not like you talk about, it's not just the physical, it is the process of setting boundaries to say,
Mm-hmm.
no, do
Mm-hmm.
not give me these physical gifts. Do not send me your mail. Do not put me on
Yeah.
your mailing list.
Yes.
There were so many things that we had to change about our lifestyle to not have the stuff come in. I mean, it's a lot of stuff that we consume,
Yeah.
and we just, slowly but surely we changed it, and slowly but surely we trained the people in our life to not
I love
get rid
that.
of the stuff.
I
She
love that.
gets
I
really No,
Go
she
ahead.
gets really irritated by the packaging with some stuff too. Like, oh my God, they could have packaged this with a third of this stuff. There's
I
plastics and
Yes,
bubbly
yes.
things and cardboard, you know.
Yeah. But you read about plastic being in the water. I just read some
Mm,
ridiculous, like, and everyone's drinking water,
Yeah.
and I mean, don't even get me started on meds. Most of our drinking water had people don't dispose of medicines properly, and your drinking water is contaminated with that. We don't think, we're in this society and especially with social media, like, how can I have more? And, we don't see the bigger picture of
Yeah.
everything. And we
yeah.
don't see how our actions of not saying, hey, can you package this better? How that had the effect that it has.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
and fish now they'll do these testings and find that they have these like microplastics
Mm-hmm.
in the fish. It's sad.
Yeah, I think it's like we're paying the price for our sort of post World War II push when everything
Yes.
got how do you make it simpler, faster? That's when you
Convenient.
got into plastics and this and that. Now, kind of paying the price for a lot of that.
Yeah.
Are you overwhelmed by clutter? Do you feel stuck in your life? Does something need to change, but you're not sure what? How to Declutter Your Home and Your Life is a 21-day decluttering challenge that focuses on helping you become aware of your clutter. Each day, you'll have a bite-sized lesson. Many times when you have clutter in your life, you're overwhelmed, so the lessons are short. You'll have a list of ways to move forward to declutter your life. You can order from Amazon, Google Play, iBooks, or directly from me at reawakenyourbrilliance.com. What
Yeah.
have you found? What was the most challenging thing for you and then downsizing?
Hmm. Gosh, I think for us it was probably things for our outdoor activities, like our
Mm,
bikes, you know? So we started being more active and we started saying, okay, yeah, let's camp more and let's ride our bikes and let's play
mhm.
tennis. And even though those are great activities and you can um more healthy and things like that. But we had of course we were going to keep our bikes because it was a great,
Right.
we actually went down to one car. And
Yeah.
so I was like, oh, I'm going to ride my bike around Beaufort because you can do that.
You can.
But,
Yep.
but then it was like, well, I want to protect my bike. So where do I put it? And
Mm,
we were in such a small space. And then the camping stuff, we didn't really have a place for it. And
Yeah, our original small place. Yeah, we had bikes, two bikes hanging on the wall already trying to live in that little space. So yeah, that and
yeah,
yeah, if you activities like camping do involve a little bit of gear. So it's
yeah.
I think for me, it was that I was used to
mm,
having, I don't know a whole lot about feng shui, but it was
Yeah.
sort of like having flows though in my
Mhm.
space, and not having that flow took some getting used to. But then understanding that it's sort of like your space can have multi uses and that's
Mhm.
okay. And
Yes.
to say, okay, this side table can now be adjusted and we can now make this a little workspace. And we started getting, the challenges started becoming things that we were starting to be more resourceful.
yeah, and
Would you?
you're
Creative.
balancing practicality with aesthetics, sort of.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Yeah. So the challenges that we had in the beginning changed. We were like, oh, that's not really a challenge. But I think that was a challenge in the beginning.
yeah, yeah. Oh, it was,
Yeah.
no doubt.
Yeah.
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 Now, so I've been to Beaufort. I was in North Carolina for 15 years. Anyway, go to the beach every year. But was it hard for you to find a small house? Is there a community there? I mean, you talk about being in cottage because I think, I think I read not too long ago, Charlotte was up in arms because they didn't want a tiny house community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely don't want a tiny house community here. The place that we ended up being had, we just kind of lucked out.
Stumbled into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was like a top and bottom. And it was originally one house.
Ah,
The
okay.
bottom was a 500 square foot and the top was 500 square foot.
Yeah.
And the top just was never rented out.
It,
I think it had maybe had some damage from a storm or something, and they
yeah.
were gonna fix it and they never did. So we were like, great, that's fine.
Yeah. And luckily we got to use that a little bit for extra
So
storage.
we ended up,
Mhm.
yeah, just kind of
Yeah.
putting that extra camping stuff up there, and it kind of worked out. But
Yeah, we did luck out on that.
so with that being said, we the 500 square foot area worked out for that here in Beaufort. But
Mhm.
now our house, we live in the downtown area, and we live in an area a couple of streets back from the large house, historic homes
Okay.
that on Ann. But we do live in a historic area where the very small houses are.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we actually live in the historically Black community. So our homes here have been here a very long time, but they're really small. I mean, ours is about a little over 700 square foot, and so are all the ones on our
That's
street.
sweet.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But it's a quaint, quiet, nice little street. And it's just,
Yeah,
yeah.
You're in
it's
a
really
wonderful town. I mean, we go
great.
there
It
every
is.
year, so
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah,
is
it's great.
amazing.
Uh-huh.
We love it. But
Yeah.
no, they don't welcome the tiny home community. We wish that they did. And at some point we still want to at some point be somewhere else. Maybe it's an island somewhere else. We would love to be in a tiny home. We think that's still on the table.
Oh,
I think
sure.
I'm hopeful for the future that we're, with inflation and everything and people starting to realize, you know what, I'm working for the man. Like you said, burnout. Like, do I need all this stuff?
Yeah.
Right. And,
Right.
we're a one-car family
Community.
too, so I get it.
Yeah.
And, it's planning. Now it helps now my husband works from home until he retires. So that
Mhm.
made a difference. But you know what? Less insurance, less hassle. Like it's just one of those things you're like, oh, one less thing to worry about.
Yeah.
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 And more being more community minded, if you don't have a shovel, call somebody who has a
Yes,
shovel and
yes,
borrow
yes.
things from each other. And I think if we all can get back to that mindset,
Yeah. And we're at a time too where there's like apps for that, like on
Mm-hmm.
the phone where you can share,
yeah, the
community
next door
share
app
things.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
What advice would you have for people who are like, you know what, I'm thinking about this. How can I start? And again, like if they might not, I kind of love that you guys are just like, bam, changing your life in a couple weeks, like rip the band-aid off, just go for it. Cause kind of once you get that ball rolling, you can't back out. But for someone who's maybe not quite going to rip it off, what would you say to them?
We and I'm totally not plugging us. I just think that we
No,
we do
share.
that. We have a it's free, it's totally free. We have a 30-day declutter challenge on our website, arneradventures.com. But the reason that I say that is that every time someone asks us that, I would say, yeah, the way we did it may not be for everyone. So what we recommend is these bite-sized small pieces every day. And even if it's like today, go through your kitchen, one or two kitchen cabinets, like your
Mm-hmm.
cups, your mugs, and your plates, and then get rid of what you don't use. And then tomorrow, go through your refrigerator and get rid of the things that you haven't used. But then as you go through the month, we even go through things like um, practice saying no to
Mm-hmm.
the appointments on your calendar that you don't want to do and then take them off, or then declutter, start scanning thing like pictures that you have,
Yep.
because no one goes through their paper pictures and looks at them. So scan them and put them on your computer. And so there's just different bite-sized things. And at the end of the 30 days, we have found people who tell us, they're like, yeah, it makes me feel better. So now I feel like I want to
Do
keep
more.
going in
Yep.
this. And even if they don't go to the extreme that we are, or that, even you, Julie, that if they don't want to go to complete declutter mindset, I mean, that's fine, but they start seeing the way and feel the way that they are, and they go, okay, I want to
Keep
keep
going.
going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good jumping off point, I think, the 30-day declutter challenge, and then you can kind of regroup and go, okay, what do I do from here? And it's a little funny the way it's structured, that it's one thing on the first, two things on the second, and so on. And I think you're thinking at first, oh my God, when it gets up to the 27th, I don't have enough of those 27 things that, oh, it can really be anything like 27
No,
rubber.
that's the minimalist challenge. That's the minimalist game.
Oh, I got confused.
We've done that too, but
Yeah.
yeah, our declutter challenge is very
Oh,
it's
30
much
days
easier.
different. Yeah. I was thinking of our minimalist challenge. They're both good
They're
and
both
both good
good.
jumping off points.
Well,
Yeah.
I love that you mentioned we have in our hallway, my husband got me a digital frame. So we have all our travel. And so every time I walk
Yeah.
by, I can, oh, let's scroll and look at, oh, and those great memories.
Yeah.
And so
Such a great
it brings
idea.
me, makes me happy every time I see it. And we know the paper, but we have that. So that's something that I'm like, yay.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And those are more effective too, because the old books used to get put on the bookshelf
Yeah,
and sometimes you
exactly.
would pull them
Yeah.
down for 2 years. Yeah.
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 Mhm.
My other thing
Yeah.
that I love to tell people is, like I love you've mentioned in the box in the attic or the book on the shelf that we've never pull out, create a shadow box with, a couple select memories and you put that on your wall that you get to see every day, So then
Uh-huh.
it's colorful, it's brings you joy and you've curated something instead of having all the other stuff that really didn't matter. Like, oh, these pieces, they
Yeah.
touch my heart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've experienced that with some
Like
of our
you've
stuff.
done with
Yeah.
your vinyl, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening to the podcast, you can watch on YouTube. We've got all the vinyl colors, covers
Yeah. And
behind.
he changes that out every once in a while so he can see his other albums, because that's important
Exactly.
to him, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
We actually just, this one wasn't really a theme so much. It's just she was like, my last one, I didn't notice it because there was a lot of complexities up there, but she said they're all a little dark. And we started saying, well, I guess from the sort of classic rock area, a lot of times it was a
Was dark.
darker
Yeah.
image.
Yeah.
So anyway, we came with the brightest records last time. This is about the third different one I've done. And she was like, okay, the room is a lot brighter now.
Right. Makes you happy. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I on my podcast like people to take action. So I say, so what could you say to people? What take actions, 1, 2, whatever you want to share, could people take towards having a minimalist lifestyle?
I'll tell you, I think this is simple, and I think it helps with just reducing consumerism. I say get off the mailing list. I
Yes.
say, and I'm talking about the paper mail.
Mm-hmm.
And people think this is so hard, but when you get a piece of mail, and you can do it once a week if you want, you can accumulate it because Lord knows a lot comes in if you haven't done this. But a lot of pieces of mail at the bottom tell you how to get off of it,
Yes.
you know? But there's and you can Google because there's several free ones, but there's a lot of just different resources you can get on and get off of
Mm-hmm.
mailing lists. And when you get off of them, it might take a couple of months to get off, but we never get mail, thankfully.
Yeah.
I can't stand, and if I do, the first thing I do is look at the bottom and figure out what do I need to do to get off of that mailing list. Number 1, it reduces what comes in. Number 2, it doesn't entice me to go get anything.
Yes.
I
Great
think that's a
point.
huge step. That's such a small little thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have anything
I
to
love
add?
that.
No, I think you said it all.
Well, that's great. Tell people how they can learn more about you or whatever else you want to share. And we will
Sure.
I always put website and information in the notes so people can access
Yeah.
that.
So you can head over to arneradventures.com. That's ARNER adventures.com. And we have, that's really our hub for everything. You can get the declutter challenge, get all of our resources. You can find the podcast, Arner Adventures podcast, where Julie was a guest of ours. And yeah, that's really everything over there, and learn about our whole backstory and how we more in depth about the abbreviated version of what we told here.
Yeah.
And I
Make
have
sure
to
you carve out a large chunk of the day because you might get stuck in there for a while.
hey, that's great. Like block and plan it. And I just have to share a special shout out for my longtime listeners who will know why I appreciate that. You guys are awesome and help take care of a feral cat colony.
Yes, we
We
do.
bonded, and I'm gonna encourage. I'll share the interview that I did with him. We had a great conversation, but this why I was like, oh, this woman and I are cut from the same cloth. So I've gotta have them on. So share about
Take
that.
care of our little kitty cartel, we call them.
Yeah.
It is. I think that's absolutely
Yes.
wonderful.
This was this has been an honor because we so respect you, Julie, and we've listened to you for a long time. So thank you so much for having us on here.
Well, thank you. And, we had that great conversation, and I love your definition of minimalism. And, I told her when we had the talk, I'm like, I always think of austere and gray and blah. And I'm like, just blah. And so you've given me a whole new perspective on it, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, and there's an ease and a flow, I think, to the way you interview and stuff, and I'm very comfortable for us here.
Well, thank you.
Mhm.
We loved having you. And we are going to meet. I'm telling everyone we're going to meet when I'm down in the beach this summer. We're going to make it happen.
Please.
Yeah,
Yes, it'll be great. That'll
that's
be
right.
great.
Uh-huh. We'll have the surfboards waxed up, and I don't know.
Don't know. You know what?
Actually, we
That's on
don't
my
surf.
bucket list. We'll see.
We don't surf. Little beach lingo, little.
It's fun. No, I love going there and know all the shops and everything. And the black cat that used to be is not there anymore, but I'd always come in the shop just to say hi and pet the kitties.
Yeah, that's cool.
We'd love that. Please,
Yeah, yeah.
please let us know.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go out, clear your clutter to create the life you choose, deserve, and desire. Clearing your clutter allows you to share your gifts with the world. Get your free self-assessment to discover your clutter priority at reawakenyourbrilliance.com. If you've enjoyed Clear Your Clutter Inside and Out, please rate, review, and share us.